Good day, family. Today, as always, I'm going to stay within the framework of The Code by Dr. Neely Fuller. We're going to be dealing with legal aspects and some psychological aspects of how we as a people, speaking of African American people and the greater humanity in general, in terms of crime and punishment, there has been a case that's in the jurisdiction of the state of Texas in regards to a young 17-year-old African American young man who was accused of stabbing a white American 17-year-old boy at a track meet in Frisco, Texas. So again, it falls under the jurisdiction of the state of Texas, which is a stand your ground state. And when I speak of stand your ground, it's speaking of the natural right of a person that has the right to self-defense. So I won't tarry long on the subject. It has gone viral over several social media platforms as well as the national news. So, first of all, I will say that I am indeed prayerful for healing and peace for the families of both parties involved. But there are some questions that arise in regards to the young man who's accused of unaliving the other person, in regards to raising money for his defense on another popular apparatus to raise money for people. I go back and I think about George Zimmerman. I think about Darren Brown. And I think about Kyle Rittenhouse. These were all European Americans, white people, who, after being involved in high-level cases where they used force to unalive another person. Of course, George Zimmerman is known for the unaliving of Trayvon Martin in the state of Florida, which is also a stand your ground state. We're dealing with Kyle Rittenhouse, who was in Kenosha, Wisconsin, during protests of Black Lives Matter. He unalived a person that was protesting. He eventually was acquitted of it. The guy had no business there at the demonstration with a firearm that was illegally purchased. And they raised a lot of money for this guy. And of course, we're talking about Darren Brown, after he unalived Michael Brown in Ferguson, Missouri. But I also want to add Derek Chauvin, the guy that unalived George Floyd in Minneapolis, Minnesota. But as the wind blows and time flows, Karmelo Anthony has been the recipient of a lot of love and donations from the African American community in regards to establishing a legal defense fund for this young man. His bond was reduced to, I think, $250,000, which is down from $1 million. His lawyer asked that it be reduced to $150,000. But, I will say that Mr. Anthony is at home and safe with his family at the time of this recording. But there's been a lot of backlash and outcry from not only the white community, but from the black community in regards to this young man, the fundraising for him being so successful. There's always a common argument within the African American community that when something like this happens, they say, well, if it was two African American boys, two black boys, we wouldn't hear anything about it. There wouldn't be any outcry, any type of outcry about the situation. We tend to believe that black on black crime is not downplayed in the African American community. But when something happens between a young black guy and a person of another race, it becomes sacrosanct for black people to support this young man in getting a free trial, a fair trial, and a reasonable bond. I've heard everything from pastors to social commentators diminishing the character of this young man. The young man, Karmelo Anthony, happened to be a honor student, 4.0. He actually is credited with rescuing a person near death one time. Captain of his football team, captain of his track team. So while at this track meet in Frisco, Texas, at I think it's Kuykendall Stadium, he came into contact with a young person whom, from all accounts, had been bullying him once before. He and his brother had bullied Karmelo. And Karmelo, for some reason, had a weapon with him when he went to the track meet. I would say that, knife carrying and gun carrying is prevalent today amongst high school students, especially those that are being bullied. A knife, to hurt someone with a knife is a personal thing. Something had happened between the two students. But I digress, and I'll wait till all the evidence comes into play so I can make an assessment of why Karmelo had a knife with him. But again, Texas is a stand your ground state. The young boy, Austin Metcalf, there's pictures of him and his brother with high-powered rifles and camouflage, and I guess they were hunting, which is perfectly normal in that part of the country, to be hunters and to, young people to, have and possess firearms. But that's a problem with the United States. And a greater point that I will deal with right now. When we're talking about 17, 18-year-old persons, their brains have not fully formed. They're not fully socialized to know right from wrong. Now, we can all jump the gun and say, yeah, they know right from wrong. I would say, under optimum circumstances, where they wasn't facing bullying, two-parent households being involved in social activities. Even at that point, a person 17, 18 years old only has limited cognitive abilities and knowing what's right and what's wrong. So basically, we're dealing with children. Both Austin Metcalf and Karmelo Anthony are not fully developed grown people. And the media and social media makes this assumption that they're grown. And that by far is an inaccurate conclusion. You know, again, my hope is that all of the evidence comes out. It will be judged impartially, even to the degree of whether there's guilt or innocence. I would pray that the sentence not rob the young man of his life and his potential to be a productive member of society. I would hope that rehabilitation would be the objective for this young man, because he's definitely going to need some counseling and some therapy and some, first and foremost, some introspection and some coming to grips with the situation that he was in, that he is in, and will have to live through. Same goes for the family of the victim, is that they're going to need some therapy and some soul searching and some real work on themselves to be able to go forward in this world and fulfill their destinies. All right. But I was very concerned. And what really moved me to it was a comment on social media and on one of my feeds from a supposed pro-black person. And it seemed as if he had already pronounced judgment on Karmelo Anthony in terms of guilt or innocence, or if this person was a member of the jury, or if this person was the magistrate in court, without having all the facts and evidence, just based on what he hears in the news. It's always a characterization of young black men being savage and bestial. I'm a 70s baby, and when I was coming of age in the 80s and 90s, it was a popular term of saying that young black men were endangered species. An endangered species really disregarded the humanity of young black men and put us back in the animal kingdom. Something, an endangered species such as the bald eagle, you know, the wolf, even the dodo bird, you know, dinosaurs, endangered species. So I know what it's like to be dehumanized, but that psyop has continued to be prevalent in our community, where human life and the life of minority people, people of color, are not valued to the same degree as the dominant society. And that's not saying that all European Americans, white folks, believe that all human life is not sacred. Again, when I'm speaking on this subject, I don't know what happened. I was not there. My prayer is for a fair trial, a fair sentence, and restoration of both of the families involved. I've heard people, this younger generation, speaking of a colorblind society, and ultimately the dream that Dr. King spoke of the content of your character and not the color of your skin. That is a moralistic and lofty goal to attain, but it begins with each and every individual to view people as human beings, not view people based on what social construct of race that you put them in. Nevertheless, we haven't arrived there at that point. And in the current dispensation, I'm talking about 2025, I'm talking the run up politically, there's a lot of racism and white supremacy that is prevailing in the current society, especially in the judicial system. All we have to do is look at how immigrants are being treated and being stripped of their due process of law. So that brings me to the greater point of due process and fair judicial process is being eroded at the highest level. And it has descended down into the local levels and state levels oh so rapidly. So that's the reason that I'm making this this video, is to give you the perspective of just a normal guy, a normal African-American man who grew up in this society, lived outside of the society. I'm doing my best to be genuine and not to be a person that, you know, follows groupthink, or I'm following the herd in a sense of I don't have any sympathy or empathy for the Metcalf family or the family of Karmelo Anthony. I'm saying that I'm balanced, and I will admit that it's a bad situation, and that it has deteriorated to this point. It's just unfortunate that we live in a society like this. And I also say, in my background, you know, I've had friends involved in cases like this. I've had family members, lost family members to violence. So, you know, this is wholeheartedly, man. This is my heart, man. And I'm not trying to front and incite people's subconscious fears and racism and, you know, anti-white, anti-black, whatever. I'm just speaking as a normal human being. Now, again, the framework that I'm dealing from is as a compensatory reaction, thought book, text for victims of white supremacy. I cannot get past the fact that, yes, this is a white supremacist system. I know nowadays they want to inject the whole notion of meritocracy, but that's something that has never existed in this country. One day, I hope we make it to that place where people are indeed judged by their qualities, their skills and gifts in this world, the content of their character. All right. I hope you see through the mirror, the smoke and the mirrors and all of this, and see that, hey, I'm coming from a genuine place. I just want the young brother to get a fair trial, a jury of his peers, people that will be impartial, people that will take time to rightly divide the word and the facts and evidence, and to come to a truthful and just decision based on the facts and based on the legal statutes for the state of Texas. With that, I say peace. I would hope that you would like, subscribe, share this video, help me to grow this station. Again, if you lived a day and you haven't learned something, then you wasted a day of living that you can never get back. Again, like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends, families, and other subgroups. Peace.